Stop failing your ISO 9001 audits. In this video, I'm going to be discussing the top 5 reasons that ISO audits are usually failed and how you can use a SharePoint QMS system like the one we're looking at on screen now to ensure that you pass your ISO 9001 audits the first time without having to repeat mistakes that can easily be fixed. My name's Dougie Wood and I am a Microsoft MVP. I've been building out solutions like this for customers all over the world. So if you would like to get a fixed price to deploy a SharePoint QMS system, there is a link in the description below to contact me. So the first reason that we see ISO 9001 audits being failed is that there is old, outdated documents in circulation and people don't know what the latest version of the document is. Now, we can fix this by building out what we call a document control. Sometimes people refer to this as a document management system or a DMS or control documents, but essentially it's a document control system that is built inside of SharePoint, can solve a lot of the problems of having old, outdated documents. This becomes your single source of truth, so you know that every single key document that is required for your ISO 9001 is actually stored in a safe place that everyone can get access to and see the latest version. Now, as I say, this is built with SharePoint, so we've got some common kind of categories or columns of tags for the document. So we have the icons, we have the name of the document, but we're also tagging things like the versions. Now, the versions can be both major and minor versions. A major version is like a whole number, like 7.0, and a minor version is like this 6.2 or 5.1. But that can increment within reason as much as it needs to be. The cool thing about version control, though, is we can see that it's linked to the approval status. So we can have approval statuses for our documents, which means that anything which is draft that's being edited or it's been recently submitted for approval, making it pending, is still a minor version. And it's only at the point of approval does it then increment to the next major version. The other cool thing that I really like about version control is we can hide the minor versions, i.e. the ones which are being edited from the typical end users. And it's only the people who are, say, for example, auditors, quality managers, or basically people in charge of editing and controlling the documents see the draft versions. So if I was just typical Joe Bloggs end user of the system, and I go in and I was to look at this employee handbook, I would only see version 6.0 because that was the last approved version of the document. And it would only be if I was an editor that I'd be able to see the draft versions of those documents. We can also have an approval process that's built into the document, which again, every document can have its own individual approver, which makes sure that all of this is fully tracked and auditable. The second reason that we see people failing ISO 9001 audits is that there is no evidence to prove a review cycle of the documents. Now, this is actually something that is part of clause 7.5 inside of ISO 9001, which requires documentation and information to be kept current and easy to access. So we know with the version control we can see the latest versions of the documents, but actually we can evidence a review cycle by having a reviewer tagged against every single document. Now what happens is you'll notice that every document has a review date. On that review date, it will go and contact the reviewer using a Power Automate workflow, and it will ask that reviewer to update the document. Once they've updated the document, they simply select the document to submit it for approval, and that would then go to the approver that's tagged against that document for them to either reject or approve the document. If they were choosing to approve the document, then basically it would update to the next major version, it would set the approval status to be approved, and it would also set the next review date based on the frequency. Now the frequency can be anything you like in months basically, so it could be 12 months, 24 months, whatever you need it to be, but essentially that would add that on top of the approval date to give us our next review date. The system would then sit dormant until that date, checking every day to see if it's close. We can then send reminders to the reviewer to say that the document is close to the review date, and then on the actual review date, the system would kick in, automatically put the document back into draft mode, increment a version number to be a minor version, 7.1 in that case, and it would obviously contact the reviewer to say, hey, this document needs to be reviewed. Now we can also not only have that review cycle, but we can evidence it using the version history, which we have here. But this is basically a full audit history of exactly what's happened to the document and when was it first uploaded, who has been tagged as a reviewer, when it was last reviewed, so we've got a review date in here, when it was last approved, we have the approval dates in here. Plus, we can go back and view documents from a previous point in time or restore it from a previous point in time if, for example, there was some content that had been removed or we wanted to kind of see that in a bit more detail. We can go back and see a full audit history of what exactly has happened to the document, who modified it, and when it was modified. The third thing which we see causes failures in audits is that corrective actions are recorded and logged but never followed up or actioned. Now, we can get around this and we can actually have a system in place to ensure those corrective actions are followed up using SharePoint lists. So, for example, we can actually have creative preventive actions as a list, which we're tagging with its own ID, so its own corrective or preventive action ID, a kappa ID. We can also tag it with an audit. So, for example, if this action came from an audit, we have an audit record, and we're going to come on to talk about audits later in this video. But every audit has its own ID record. Maybe it's a non-conformance, which is actually caused this kappa action, or an investigation, so a root cause investigation. And in fact, if I just jump back to this screen on the dashboard, you can see we actually have records for non-conformances, investigations of root causes, and corrective preventive actions as our own lists, which we can then track those items within them. You can see we also have the title, the action description, the action type, whether it's corrective or preventative, who it's assigned to, and the target date. So this basically gives us that ability to not only log the action, but also ensure that it's followed up. So we use Power Automate workflows to basically keep reminding people that this action needs to be completed based on the target date. So it could be sending a reminder to say, hey, the target date is due, or is it maybe even escalating. So if it goes past that target date, maybe it emails a quality manager to let them know that an action has passed the target date and it needs to be followed up. Of course, we can also see all of this based on status. So for example, if I wanted to filter down to see anything which was not yet started, I could do that and say, actually, there's two actions here which are not yet started. They're past their target date. And I'm going to follow up with George to say, hey, why are these particular actions not yet complete? We've also, in the past before, built out modules for a CRM style system in SharePoint, which basically tracks all of our customers and accounts, which can also have a complaint functionality in it. So it might be that the kappa action has come from a particular complaint. So we can see here a customer, Green Tech Energy, has raised a complaint. We have the complaint record here. And as a result, we've created an action to follow up, which is tied to that complaint record. Just as a reminder, everything you're seeing today is part of a SharePoint QMS system that we've previously built out. So if you would like a QMS system which is going to do more than just documents, control, training trackers, and non-conformances, but it also includes things like full audit logs, risk management, as well as supplier management, complaints management, and so much more, then there's a link in the description below to contact us to get a quote for building out this system on your SharePoint. The fourth reason that we see people commonly failing their ISO 9001 audits is they have the inability to show that they are tracking the competencies and the training records of their employees and actually ensuring they're staying up to date. Now, what we've built in SharePoint is a training tracker, which you may already have a learning management system or an LMS, which is doing some of this kind of learning and training and development, and maybe CPD, continual professional development. But you could also use SharePoint for not only logging things like forms for booking onto training courses or accessing online materials, but also we can have a training tracker built using a SharePoint list, which on the home page, it might just show for the end user what their training certificates are, when they've been completed, and when they're due for renewal. Now, as an admin of the system, I would have access to 3 areas that run this system, which sends out reminders and ensures that training stay up to date. This would be employees list, a configuration list, and the tracker. The first list is an employees list. So every employee would be put into a list, and this means that we can configure their roles, so what role they're assigned to, maybe even things like what department they're in, things like that. And that would then carry through into the tracker from the configuration list. So in the configuration list, this is where we specify all the different training and certificates, what roles they are applied to, the training type, the training provider, and the renewal frequency, how often they need to be renewed. So once we've added an employee, it would look up all the items based on their role and then create records inside of the training tracker. So this is where we can see, for example, all the training. At the moment, I've got it grouped by the training certificate, but you could also group it by employee, by role or department, or whatever it is that you would like to see this data grouped by. We can then see based on employee, for example, if I was only interested in a specific employee. Of course, this is more of an admin view, like a quality manager or HR person might be looking at. So say, for example, if I was only interested in Chris's records, I could filter down and see all of the training records that Chris has and the status for them. So as I say, we've got the role, training type, training provider, renewal frequency, and the status. So again, we could filter by status and show all the ones which are not yet started to follow up with. So actually, say for example, if I know all of these trainings have not yet started, I can pull these out, and maybe even if I wanted to, I could choose to export this into Excel to follow up with as a separate list if I really wanted to. You can also connect Power BI quite easily to SharePoint lists. So again, you can have some pretty cool, powerful reporting features off the back of this data as well. We can see the completion date, the renewal date, as well as the assessor and the competency level. Now, the renewal date is what drives the Power Automate workflows to follow up and remind people when the renewal's coming up. So it might be emailing the employee, as well as someone internally like a quality manager or a trainer to basically book them onto that next training course. We can also see the competency levels. Now, actually, I have a button on the homepage of this particular SharePoint site which allows people to go and find experts. So if they had a question about something specifically, they could find someone who's got the highest level of competence in that area to ask those questions to seek information internally before looking externally. And number 5, the 5th reason that people are often failing the ISO 9001 audits is that they do not have, or they cannot evidence, proper scheduling of audits and the follow-up of the audits. Now, we do this in SharePoint using 2 lists. To actually evidence that we're scheduling audits ahead of time, we have this audit configuration list. And this is where we can see, for example, the audit reference, the clause, the system, the documents to audit, the plan date, the status, auditor, auditee. And again, take all of this with a pinch of salt. You can add more columns of information into this if you really wanted to. It's totally up to you. But essentially, this area allows us to schedule an upcoming audit. And then when we are happy with this, we can use a Power Automate workflow at a click of a button that copies all of these items into the live audits list. Now, once it's in here, you can see we have all those columns again, the audit reference, the clause, systems, plan date, actual dates. But now we have like the status, whether it's in progress or not started, who the auditor is, who the auditee is, the finding type, whether there's a non-conformance, the finding description, and the severity. This could also spin off into the CAPA area for corrective and preventative actions. And maybe based on the severity, that might actually set the due date of that particular item. So if it was a major severity, obviously the due date for that action is going to be much sooner than potentially would be if it wasn't as severe of an issue. As I say, if you want to reach out to us, there's a link in the description below to talk to us about building a QMS in your SharePoint for things like document control, complaints management, risk management, audits and non-conformances, as well as CAPA, training and change management. If you enjoyed this video, check out the video that's on screen now, as I think you'll find it really useful. If you have any questions at all, drop them in the comments box below. Please like the video and subscribe for more SharePoint QMS related content. Thank you.